Well, good evening. Welcome to Astrology Unplugged. I am Claudia Del Cid with my partner Rick Cempie, and tonight we we have a nice topic that we were going to talk about regardless, but tomorrow is Valentine's Day. May just reminded us. So it's pretty timely. Although we know that Venus doesn't just cover romantic love, it definitely doesn't. It covers a lot more than that. But we'll get into a discussion tonight about the current Venus retrograde cycle that we're about to start in the next couple of weeks, starting March 1st or 2nd. So first, I want to say welcome back to our people here live. And then if you can't join us live, you can go to starself.com and go to the unplugged, go to the social media tab and go to unplugged, and you'll have a link there and join us live any Thursday at 7 p.m. Nope, twice a month at 7 p.m. And the schedule is on Facebook. If you follow me, or Astrology Unplugged on Facebook. So with that, we'll get started. There was something I was going to say about Venus retro. I've just forgotten in the intro. But anyway, I'm sure if it's that important, it'll come back to me. I'm going to share my screen and you all let me know. Hold on one moment. Hi, Erica.
I love the clock, Erica. She's probably still zeroing in with.
Yeah, sometimes it takes a minute.
Yeah,
All right. Well, who here is aware of our coming Venus retrograde cycle? Do you guys follow the retrogrades at all or what the planets are currently doing?
I
Tell
do.
the truth. I
I
followed.
sort of I sort of do, Claudia, but it's more that as soon as it's like this unplugged helps
Yeah,
understand it. But yes,
yeah,
they're
yeah.
fascinating. So thank you.
Sometimes you hear buzz about stuff in the mainstream media, and sometimes you have to come to a place like this, or sometimes you're an addict to watching YouTube videos like myself, and all I do is watch YouTube videos on astrology. Uh, and so that's how I mean, but I do follow the planets. And the thing about retrogrades is, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, just because people all the time, they'll say, oh, Mercury's going retrograde. But every planet goes retrograde, every single planet. And
right.
so we always pay attention to Mercury. Mercury is a
Hmm.
very practical sign, so I could see why, I don't know who started or how that started, but really every planet does it. It will do it at different times of the year, and it's very likely that one of you that there is at least one planet in your chart that's retrograde in your natal chart. So it's not this bad thing at all. In fact, I think it's just like I really believe it is a very purposeful placement in your chart. Whatever is in your chart is on purpose and nothing is just happenstance. So you may have Venus retrograde in your chart. So a cycle like this may in fact feel comfortable for you or may actually bring some things to fruition in a different way because you live with it all the time. It's us who don't live with it that get the reverse effect. So, so what's going to happen? Oh my gosh, I have a typo. Wait,
Oh my.
wait a minute. Did I spell retrograde wrong?
Not where I see it.
No,
No,
it looks fine.
It doesn't look right, but oh, weird.
Maybe your
It
maybe your
didn't.
eyes are. I mean, it's perfect in both places I see it.
Yeah, that's weird. I don't know why I thought that. Okay, so Venus goes retrograde every 18 months, every year and a half. So it doesn't, so I was wrong. It doesn't go retrograde every single year. But it does go retrograde every 18 months. And the thing I find fascinating, and I was talking to Rick about this, is that it only goes retrograde in the signs of Scorpio, Gemini, Capricorn, Leo, and Aries, which is wild to me. I don't know why. Don't ask me because I can't tell you the answer. But again, there's probably a reason. It's very much on purpose. And it does do it for 40 to 43 days when it does go retrograde. So when we have a cycle coming up, like we have in a couple of weeks, the best thing to do, and this is just me, but I encourage you to do this because this is how you learn. It's cyclical, right? And there's patterns that are constantly teaching us and showing us. So the last time we had Venus in retrograde in Aries and Pisces, which is where they're going to be in a couple of weeks, was in 2017. And in particular, it was in April 2017 through May. So immediately I said, what was going on for me then? And I remember what was going on for me, and it was so textbook. I got together with an ex-boyfriend for about a month.
Hmm.
I, I even knew what was going on, and I still did it. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, which is very textbook sort of thing that happens, something from the past, someone from the past, a situation from the past will relate it to something Venusian will come back in. But so that's the first thing I do is I go back. So when we have an eclipse, when we have something that is very cyclical like that, I'll say to myself, when was the last time the eclipses were in, Leo, Aquarius, or whatever? What happened in my life? So I encourage you to do that as well. Now, that doesn't mean that something big may not happen at all. It all has to do with where is it in your chart. So for me, I do have points that are like my sun is at 12 degrees of Leo, so it was trining that. Um, that whole episode with that person coming into my life again, I wouldn't say that was a negative thing at all. In fact, it helped me actually move forward with more clarity and with more discernment. And actually, it was fine. It was good. Um, so that's the second thing I always encourage people is just because something's happening doesn't mean it's going to affect you in this big, big way. So look at the degree. So that's why Rick and I are here to help you with the figure out the degree.
Also, I would add that you want to expand Venusian topics to to mean anything that it has previously meant to you. It's not just about relationships.
No.
It, especially when you consider your first relationship is with yourself. How do you
Yeah.
find harmony within? That
Yeah.
can be how you draw to you what it is you desire.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be so many different things. The
Absolutely.
the elements of what we could really look at changes so broadly when you really dig. I was just catching information recently that spoke about Venus and its rulership of the lungs from um it's probably information that's 2000 years old. And that would be because it is connected to the mysteries of life, birth, and death, uh, life, death, and rebirth, and the mystery of life, inhaling, wanting to live, wanting to fuel your desires. So in that regard, it gives you purpose.
Yeah.
There, there's a lot that gives us purpose. So however it has affected you in your past, that's going to predicate how it will cyclically affect you in the future.
Right. Totally. And people always think Venus, romance and relationships, and that is not just what it rules. Um, what I'm learning is that every planet and every sign rules a lot more than we typically, we'll use some buzzwords, but it rules more than that. And, that's where people they got kind of get stuck into thinking, well, that's how it's going to be, or that's how it's express itself, but it can also show up in different ways. We haven't learned what those ways are, that in fact are the way that that planet will show itself in your life. But in the mainstream, it'll just be like, oh, flowers and Valentine's Day, but that's not so. So, so this year we have Venus, and actually, if you look at the degrees, this is not always the case, but they're the same degrees actually as they were in 2017. So kind of what Rick was actually just pointing to, which I find with this cycle, and we'll get into this later, is I think it's a lot about the self because it is in Aries, right? And
Right.
it's so uh it's very simple, but it's really important because when you're clear about yourself, it affects everything in your life. So
And
that,
let's not forget that Pisces is so fluidly connected with an eroding of boundaries, which messes with your sense of self,
yeah.
and art that could open up into your mind, harmonizing to certain vibrations,
Yeah.
certain sounds, music. There are so many things that your creativity could just be sparked at a moment's
Oh,
notice.
yeah. Big time. Big time.
Yeah.
Definitely. So let's move on to what it does rule. These are a few things that it could rule, right?
Okay.
There's also other things, but these are the things that are going to be probably prominent when you think about the house that Venus is in your chart. I would also add, um, if you're a Taurus or a Libra, this is pretty important to look at because you're ruled by Venus. So I'm of Taurus rising. I look at this cycle. I definitely look at this cycle. It's not every 8 years or every 18 months that it's gonna like hit me over the head or anything, not at all. But I do pay attention to it. And if you're a Libra as well, that ruler of your sign or your chart, it is really key. So
I'm
what
a
they
Libra. I'm a Libra rising.
definitely, yeah,
Okay.
that is absolutely. Let me do this for a moment. Um, Definitely that would matter, Marita.
Okay. Okay.
It's just a matter of figuring out where in your chart it's going to hit and it's going to transit. So this graphic is really great because it's really simple, right? So in the sky right now, I think Venus is in Pisces. It's somewhere below 24 degrees. I don't remember where, but it's going to approach 24, right? On March 1st, it will, I'm sorry, it's approaching 24. It's going to go through
Aries.
Aries, and then wait a minute, did I do this backwards?
It doesn't look like it so far. It looks fine. Then it goes station retrograde.
Yep. It's going to stop in the sky. It doesn't actually ever stop, but it's going to appear as it like it stops. And then it'll appear to go backwards back to Pisces. It'll stop. And every time a planet stops, it is said to be more I don't want stronger, I guess is the word. Not stronger. It's like really gonna kind of accentuate, put a period or an exclamation point when it stops. So station direct or station retrograde, it's stopping. So like a train has to come to a stop and then it moves and it slowly picks up speed, whether it's going backwards or forwards.
But
So
no matter how fast it approaches, stopping is a big deal.
yeah,
Just like slamming on your brakes in a car.
exactly. Exactly. And this will st station direct at 25 Pisces. So if you have anything at 25 Pisces, or if you have anything at 25 of the mutable signs, which is Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, or Pisces, that's going to form a square. So it's a bit more asking
Friction,
yeah, it's a bit more friction. It's not going to be as comfy and fun, but it's there
right?
for a reason. And then if you're a water sign and you have anything around 25, then that's going to form a nice angle. I hate to use the words good or bad, nice or, but it's going to
Smoother.
more comfortable psych uh angle so that it will be a smoother realization, perhaps. Something will come through in your consciousness, in your life, depending on where the house is, where it's like helping you. So, I mean, essentially, it's all helping you, but sometimes that quote unquote help is not comfortable. And then it's going to go forward again. It's going to move forward and it's going to do this from March 1st through April 12th. So this movement that you're seeing with the pink lines is going to go from March 1st through April 12th. Now, I don't know about you, Rick. I don't I don't pay a whole lot of attention to the shadow period, but I keep it in mind. I wouldn't get married during the shadow period. I wouldn't, I wouldn't buy a house. I wouldn't start a business. So
Enter into contract.
exactly. I
And
wouldn't
that's
get engaged, nothing like that. So, you have to live your life, right? But if if it's something that is Venusian, then I would pay attention to it. I don't think, the universe is, damning and cutting. I think when it's something is going to be, it's going to be. And if there's needs to be a readjustment down the road, then you'll make that adjustment. Then you'll figure things out as you go along. But in any case, so
Those
I would go,
contractual things are very fascinating. I had occasion to be with one of my kids when they signed paperwork for purchasing a used car to transfer the title. And I noted the time, and as soon as I did the chart, I was like, oh, this car won't be very long held.
yeah,
And the next time a car came up that was being dealt with, I looked at the day that it was going to be picked up and paperwork signed, and I said, remember that car you got? I I checked it out later that day and I knew you were not going to have it long and I told you about it.
yeah,
If this is the day you're going to go ahead and do the paperwork, I double checked the timing. Try and deal with this after 4 p.m.
true.
It's a better time than earlier in the day,
right.
you
Yeah.
know?
I mean, I get it. I do stuff like that, especially when it comes to things like a car. I mean, it's not like you bought a shirt, it's a car. You want it
A
to be,
weapon that can
yeah,
kill you.
totally.
Yeah.
Yes. So it is a big deal. I realized years ago that my wedding date was on a Venus retrograde.
Oh,
I didn't know astrology then.
Right.
That's the way that it was supposed to be. I mean,
Mhm.
what are you going to do? It, I would never advise anybody to get married under Venus retrograde, but I did it, and that's the way that life was supposed to go. So the shadow period, which is the pre-retrograde period, started on January 28th. That's when Venus entered the retrograde zone at 24 Pisces. And then the post shadow period is on May 16th. So basically, from end of January to mid-May, we're in this period. Now, again, it doesn't have to be this potent thing for every single person where, you're going to see it in your life and it's going to cause a ruckus. Not at all. It depends on the orb of where your planets are, right? Um, so
And its natal positioning and how it sits in your chart.
yeah.
Because a significant event for one person's chart, when it's related to a variety of planets, is going to be different in someone else's chart if the variety of planets are different. So it's very personal.
Very personal. It's a personal planet. So it is.
Mhm.
It's really personal. Erica, do you look at Venus retrograde? I just happen to know that you're a Taurus, so that's why I'm asking.
Absolutely. I look at all the retrogrades
Yeah.
that, I can follow. Of course, Mercury retrograde happens the most often. But
hmm.
yeah, I try to look and see what's going to happen all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And I just really see, collectively as this being our values, what we value, what we believe in. And boy, oh boy, are we ever seeing that out there in the collective
Oh my
about
gosh.
people
Yeah.
assessing or reassessing what do we really believe in,
Yeah.
because it's also Venus is how we relate to one another. So
Definitely.
yeah, I'm watching it with trepidation. Every day. It's like turn off the news.
I
Hmm.
know. I know. I, yeah. Watching the news lately I don't watch the news, but I know people that do, and they always tell me, I mean, look, even if you don't watch the news, sit down and watch the news, it's all over the world. It's on down the street, it's in your neighbor, it's in the internet, it's in the Facebook, it's in our lives. So you don't necessarily have to watch the news to know that the world is in disarray and
It
people
would
are,
be a very large rock you would have to live under to not see it.
yeah, like really like a very large rock. So,
Well, it's our Pluto return, right? So
yeah.
transformation.
Sure.
The
Hmm.
earthquakes
So,
are happening.
yes, and that brings me, yeah, that's a
Well,
good
along with
point.
the same time as the nodal axis shift, because the North Node in Pisces has been
Yeah.
known to bring tsunamis and other water issues all over the planet,
So
snowstorms.
there's a lot of, oh, there's a mixture of I don't want to say a perfect storm, but a storm
Hmm.
happening energetically. Um, there is an
I'm
astrologer,
finding myself wanting to demonstrate in
really?
person, in public more. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've already done a few things and are looking for more things. It's just a way to, release some of that steam.
Yeah.
And we were at a Tesla dealership the other day with signs and everything and
Really?
taking pictures. And this driver came out and he said, "What are you doing?" And he was and it made us very aware of how vulnerable Tesla drivers are feeling now with um, with the attitude of a lot of people towards you know, um,
Politics.
Phi,
Yeah.
the letter Phi, and then Elon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and so, we told him, no, we're just taking a picture of the charging station. We're putting boycott Tesla and give us back our data and stuff like that. And sorry, for we're not going to put your face on there. And he said, I work in tech business, I don't want my face on there. And I'm about to work an 18-hour day. So we apologized. But things got pretty hot for a few minutes there because he
Yeah.
felt threatened. And John was like all excited, because I wasn't positioning the sign correctly and all this stuff. And he had been making it all night before and wondering how people were going to,
Respond.
take to it if anybody
Yeah.
was going to come and question us. So, it's just that sort of thing. I told the guys, like, no, we love you. It's just him that we disagree with, and he's dangerous. And so we're doing what we can to like shed a light on that.
Yeah.
So I'm finding myself in more relationships with strangers and wanting to, do that whole go out there and demonstrate like we did against the war back in the 70s.
Right.
Oh my God.
Sounds like you're feeling that Uranus is in your sign, Erica.
Uh-huh. right on top of it, sitting right on top of, well, it's not exactly in line with Uranus, but my Uranus is in Gemini. So the sun has been passing over that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Activating
and
it.
so and so has Uranus for a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, speaking out, getting
Yeah.
out of my comfort zone, taking chances.
Uranus
Hanging
in
with
the late
Gemini.
degrees of Uranus being in the late degrees of Taurus puts it in conjunct the late degrees of Pisces.
Oh
So
boy.
there's a bit of a friction there of seeking adjustment to find harmony.
Mhm.
Well, as a Taurus, it's terrible because we want things to be the way that we've made them and we want them to stay that way. You go to a lot of trouble. And when you get older, it's like, okay, I don't have the energy for this. And all of a sudden you're thrown into it. It's like, oh
It
dear,
is
okay.
revitalizing for sure. That's a word.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Well, thanks for asking.
So let's move to let me go this way. Okay. Um so one of the things that is pretty true about when a planet goes retrograde is the idea that you either internalize the energy or you're just not seeing as clearly. It depends on the planet, but for this Venus retrograde, it's you're just not seeing clearly in the topics that are Venusian. Um, so I put this up, but with a caveat, not seeing love, beauty, or money clearly. And there could also be other things related to Venus as well. Um, Maybe you have something to do with your health, and your throat, because that's how it falls in your chart. But for example, for me that I have it in as a rising sign, Venus rules my first house, like Marita. Maybe it's something more physical for me, but I will also look at where are the signs of Pisces and Aries in my chart. So that's your first go-to is where's Pisces, where's Aries in my chart. That's where the action is. It's going to go back and forth. 10 Aries, 24 Pisces, 10 Aries, 24 Pisces. What's going on there in your chart? So we're reassessing what it is that we value. And that can mean anything for anybody. That doesn't have to be, it could be something as mundane as I really, I like pens versus pencils and I want to throw away and clean out my drawers of all the pencils. Or it can be something really significant. It could be something now with this being in touching Pisces, I don't think that it's going to be, you're going to feel it in some deeper way. Especially if you have anything uh, at 24 Pisces, 25 Pisces, 26 Pisces, 27. But because Pisces is not a sign that's, frivolous, it goes deeply into the subconscious, into healing, into really the recesses of your consciousness.
Spiritual ideals.
Totally.
Yeah.
So it isn't going to be for everybody. Everyone is at a different level of consciousness. So everybody lives in that place. So they will live that. But Pisces is in and of itself the deepest, most heartfelt, most really soulful sign. And it's got some of the activities going to happen there. So
I know that as I'm looking at the list, I'm um, recognizing that I was having issues with trying to do some wire wrapping of crystals,
uh-huh.
and jewelry making would come under a Venus interest with the creativity. And I'm thinking, oh, the beginning of March is coming. I need to go ahead and get some of this done. And it's really difficult to go ahead and get my head wrapped around it at the moment. And that
Yeah.
explains why, you know?
Yeah. And did you hear what Rick said? He said, March is coming. Let me go ahead and do this. So when you know that Venus is coming in this kind of retrograde, or Mercury is coming, or that, I don't know, something else, Neptune is going to go retrograde or something. You look at the things that planet rules and you kind of try to get ahead of it. You try to get in front of it and become conscious, a good steward of that. So if it's your car, if it's Mercury, you take care of your car, you take care of your electronics, you take care of your daily life, you take care of your uh, laptop, your phone. Um, so like, for example, with my children or my son, if I happen to get in his car and I see that a light is on and Mercury is going to go red, I tell him, you really need to do that. I don't talk about astrology. I just tell him. Because if I did, then that would surely say to him, I'm not doing it. Um,
And
so
then he probably wonders, how does my mom always know all these things?
the irony is that well, especially my son, I don't think he doesn't, I don't know if my daughter does. I don't think he ever admits, like, I'll say to him, a transit is coming that could potentially, do this or this. And then the transit comes and it does exactly what I said. He'll go, well, that was just because that was a coincidence. Because
A
he's a Gemini.
predicted coincidence.
Yeah, he's so much Gemini. He's so much logic, right? But anyway, he's young. So I love what Rick said. Rick was thinking ahead. So if you are proactive about the things, like proactive about the things some of the things on the screen are other things that we can talk about when we look at your charts, then you're doing right by the transit and it's serving you in a really good way. Retrogrades are always there to help us. And in fact, when we go forward again, right? So when we come out of the retrograde, we are going to feel strengthened in that area, in some way, or more secure. That even if it was not fun, you went ahead and did it. It's typical stuff with this is all typical stuff that I have on the screen. I wouldn't get a tattoo. I wouldn't get a piercing. I wouldn't get anything that's permanent because doesn't mean that anything will be wrong with it, but it could mean that you're not seeing it the way you might see it in July. So you might go, I don't know why I did this. I don't even like this. Um, but if you decide to buy something and it's like not big consequence, not a big consequence, no big deal. But because people aren't really seeing Venus, they're not using Venus in the typical way. They're also sometimes not seeing what's valuable. So people can get rid of valuable things and you can find a bargain. You can find a bargain, I'm telling you. That's when you use Venus the right way so that
Mhm.
you're you're still, I mean, it's not overspending if you're going to find a really good deal on something that is valuable. So like if Rick found a really good deal on crystals, for example, um, whatever floats your boat. It's not a good time to overspend and I mean that in the most typical way, because it's a time to review and a time to look at what your money's doing in your life or how you're handling money or how you're not handling money. Basically, all that Venusian stuff. Maybe you're not having enough fun. Maybe you're just not being social enough. Maybe you want to kind of retreat at this time and you want to consider what kind of friends do I want? Do I want this person in my life? Do I want this group in my life? Have I outgrown them? Or perhaps be open to new people? It's just a time of questioning, really. Um, uh, and it's not necessarily that people are bad for you or that people are going to be sinister. It's just that perhaps it just doesn't fit your values that you hold for yourself today. So that's the key is what is valuable for you now and who you are today. So those are some of the things that I always kind of think about when I think about Venus retrograde. I don't know if Rick has anything to add, but other than that, we'll probably. Do I have another slide?
While you look for another slide, I'm just going to throw out good advice for any retrograde of any
Yeah.
planet. Use the time to go inward and reassess things that are indicated by the planet.
Yeah.
Always just do this review and be mindful that it's a great time to review.
Yeah, definitely. Um, so on the screen, we have the dates of when it's going to be in Aries. So if you know anything about astrology, you know that Aries and Pisces are very different energies. Uh,
Hmm.
they're really quite different. One is ruled by Mars, it's fire, it's ruled by fire. The other is ruled by water. It's ruled by Neptune. So those are really different energies. And so, because it travels backwards, it starts off in Aries, where you are, more gung-ho about or more energetic, more in that Martian energy, um, that you want your independence and you want to really be expressive and or impulsive about Venusian topics. Um, and it's a time like Rick said, which I love this for all of us. Doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter what it's doing in your chart. Um, that you think about what about the self, about bringing it back to you, right?
Mhm.
Because even if you are in relationship with somebody, it really is how you are in relationship with them. And it's not the other person. I mean, we can choose the best people in our lives, your family, friends, partners, whatever. But really, what are you doing or how are you influencing or not influencing or nurturing or not nurturing or adding fire to that relationship or dynamic? Um, And
And
then
really, I think too, your own relationship with yourself is always going to be your primary relationship because it predicates how you get along with others
yeah,
in those relationships. So having the best relationship with yourself is the best place to start with relationships with other people.
it's the boss, really.
Mhm.
I think that's the foundation is
Know
that
thyself.
Yes.
definitely. I'm feeling that big time. And, you know, something like this will come along and it'll kind of awaken or question or bring things into your life that go, oh, yeah, why did I say that to that person? Why did I react like that? And it's not the person, it's you. It They are pointing the finger back to you metaphorically to kind of look at that in yourself. And then it's going to go back into Pisces, which could help you heal whatever it is that you may have reacted to in this example. Um,
I think this is also an interesting time as far as the retrogrades go because Venus is exalted in Pisces and then Mars rules Aries. So you're going from two totally different drives.
yes, and it's actually debilitated in Aries. It's in its,
Yes, it
yeah,
goes from that height
yep,
to this discomfort of not knowing how to deal.
correct. Right, right. It's like if you think about Venus and Pisces, it has this innate understanding about loving,
Harmony,
really like bringing love and embodying love,
balance.
yeah, to all, to oneness. And then, which is really, feels to me more like actual love. Whereas Venus and Aries could be about what are you going to do for me? And it's that that's a it's unfair to say that because there's other good things about Venus and Aries, right? Just because somebody has Venus and Aries doesn't mean that they're a selfish person. But it does mean that they may express it in a way that is more self-oriented. Uh, and it's not that it's good or bad, it depends on the person's consciousness and how they decide to use it. And at different times in your life, speaking of my son has Venus in Aries, but he's 23 years old now. When he's 53, that's going to be different for him. He's going to show that in a very different manner. He's going to live with that in a very different manner where um and we all do that. I mean, let's face it. So I kind of like this because I think it's going to show us that polarity of Venus in Pisces, which is so unconditional love and boundlessness, and then Venus in Aries, perhaps needing to set some boundaries, or hey, this isn't good for me, or hey, in a healthy way, why am I still here? Is this still good for me? Whatever it is, it could be maybe I'm eating too much sugar. Maybe I still have this friend and I don't really get along with her. Why am I even, it's not that she's a bad person, but do I really want this person in my life? And does that reflect my, what I value? Um, so, oh, how nice. So you're having a Venus return, Erica.
Yeah.
That makes
I've
a
had
special one.
Pluto oppose my sun. It's like one thing after the other, but um
Well,
today
Pluto,
Venus is conjunct Venus. Uh,
so is Pluto
Jupiter is opposed to Uranus.
um
Neptune
squaring your
is
sun?
opposed to Venus. Jupiter is squaring my sun. No, I didn't say. Yeah, Jupiter is squaring my sun and opposing Uranus. And Venus is conjunct Venus.
You
I've
have,
been having tons of, really, really strong transits lately, and I'm surprised that I'm not more upside down than I am. When I
really?
look at them, it's like, what's going on? I'm having a very active dream life and other things going on, but knowing astrology is helping me a lot because I know that it's not just me going crazy
Yep.
and the world just going crazy. It's just um, looking at the meta universe of everything interconnected with everything else. And I'm just like one little spot in the middle of all that and part of everybody else going through it. So that helps a lot.
Sure.
I think you said it exactly right. I think it helps a lot to have that mindset and to really feel that and be that at this point in your life because you're not as resistant and you don't have this like all this internal stuff that you may have had that where like if you had these transits when you were 34, they would have you would have felt them because maybe there was an inner need to work out kinks inside. But because you seem to have such a great mindset around all of this, it's not as jolting and uncomfortable.
Well, it goes from minute to minute, but I have to keep reminding myself when I start getting carried away with my imagination to, let's look at the facts here and let's not get carried away with
Yeah.
what I'm thinking or what other people are saying or whatever, because later on you find out, oh, but this was going on that we didn't all know about.
Hmm. So I want to ask, I'm going to put you on the spot, Linda.
God help me.
I put you on the spot the last time, I think. Um, I was asking Erica because she's our fellow Taurus ruled by Venus,
Oh, I
right?
feel how much.
Um, do you look at the Venus retrograde cycle because you're ruled by Venus, or is it not something you pay attention to too much? Oh, you're
You
on.
muted yourself.
I, I muted myself instead of unmuting myself. I think I've always noticed it because years ago, um, and I can't even remember what the name of the site was. There was an astrology website that like I looked at like most days. It
Mhm.
wasn't like they weren't doing charts or anything, but there was all of that information about what was retrograde or what have you. And there was a lot of information about it. And I like what Rick said about retrogrades because it seemed to me very important to have those periods of reflection and not, it's like when people talk about Mercury retrograde, they're all, because there are those things that happen, but it's also that time for looking at your communications, how you communicate with other people, your relationship to technology and all that sort of thing.
Right.
So for me, the Venus retrograde is really important because it is about relationships. And
Yeah. Right.
it's not just the Venus part of me, it's also the Scorpio part of me that's, because I'm Scorpio in the first house and, my moon is in Scorpio. My
Yeah.
Scorpio is rising. Um, so I follow it, you know, about as much as anybody would really every time it comes up. And I
Yeah.
sit
Yeah.
and think about it. Now I'm not looking and thinking about anything right now because this week for me is the equivalent of the accountants being in the April
Tax
10th
season.
pay.
Oh gosh.
I can't, I mean, I'm like, and everybody at work, there's all the kinds of stuff going on at work and, it's like a 12-hour day every day. So but by the time it gets here, I'm going to be ready for it because I also like the idea of the shadow periods.
Yeah.
Like when you're getting ready for it, that it's like
Yes.
Lent in a way. You're getting ready for it, and then you're coming out
Yes.
of it.
Yes.
So I'm a big fan. I like retrogrades in general. Um, in general, I mean, I just like them, and I think they're important, and
Yes.
we should pay attention to them. And
Totally.
Venus, I mean, I'm not. I'm in an age now where, a romantic relationship is probably, in my past, because at my age, to find someone who could put up with my schedule and who didn't vote the wrong way in the last election and
God.
living in Western Pennsylvania, it's, I mean, I would be luckier. I have more chance of winning the lotto than I have of getting involved in anything like that. But I think it's also other relationships that you have,
Oh, yeah.
the kind, so everybody gets
Of
into the
course.
romantic side, and I think that's the most important thing. But friendship, I think friendship is,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Co-workers,
say what?
co-workers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
coworkers. Now, I've been an excellent coworker the last 2 weeks because my department chair broke her arm and had surgery, and I've been doing two jobs essentially. So I think that's I think that's important. Your friends, your coworkers, for me, my
Definitely
students,
important.
you know,
Yeah.
um, all those kind of things. So I,
It-
I don't feel much put on the spot. That was an easy question. Do you have a hard question? And I'm sorry I'm late because, that's
Because
just
you're
this,
having a hell week because you're busy.
or like a hell month.
Oh gosh.
There's one thing, or the head coach on the team that I'm affiliated with had a tear in his Achilles, and he's in a cast, and he's cranky as a bear, and he missed a lot of stuff, and it just puts a lot of stress on all the rest of us. So
Yeah.
it's not been an easy time, but I thought as I was unloading the groceries to come in, and we won't even get into what happened at Walmart, what happened at the dollar store today. I could slap
We're happy
people,
you're here, Linda.
you
I
know.
wonder what hairdressers say about what's going on at this time.
What do you mean?
True.
Hairdressers dealing with appearance, dealing with makeup, dealing with haircuts,
Mm-hmm.
dealing with the female in public in general.
Yeah. Oh
Oh,
yeah.
well, you
Because,
know the rule. You know the rule for that, don't you? If a
oh,
woman is unhappy, she gets her hair cut or
Yeah.
she changes her hair. I am
Yeah.
actually getting a haircut on Saturday, and mostly just because this is, it's gotten out of hand. But that's, you know, my hairdresser told me that years ago. When I came in one day and I had pretty long hair, and I said I wanted to cut it all off. He said, "Oh, you broke up with him, didn't you?" I said, "Yep, yep."
I was just going to say, hairdressers are practically like psychologists, aren't they? They need to be a psychologist because they're getting you. You just tell them everything, just about,
They
and
do.
often they keep most of the time they keep very calm about it and don't necessarily give you advice, but they keep you happy
Yes.
because they're doing your hair.
They
But yeah,
listen.
that's very funny.
Oh, I talk to my hair girl about everything, about things I don't tell people in my actual life sometimes. Because she's just so easy to talk to. But you know what I forgot to mention too? We have Mars retrograde at the moment, and Mercury is actually going to go retrograde during the Venus retrograde. So it's a lot of activity, it's a lot of revising, and it's like for example, for you, Linda, this Mars is in Cancer, it's squaring your sun. So
Oh, that's why I want to hit everybody then.
yeah, well,
I am serious. Seriously, in
yeah,
the last 2 days, there have been 3 or 4 people that if I wouldn't be arrested, I would have smacked them in the face. Just
yeah, no, I believe
incredibly
it.
rude people. But I didn't. I
I
didn't.
believe it, because I find myself acting in ways that are like very unlike me during this Mars retrograde that's hitting some of my planets because I have a few Cancer planets, and I go, what the hell? What has come over me? I'm like an animal. It's
Venus in Aries is coming.
Well, that'll be good.
So anyway, it's a season for us to really stop and pause, and whether sometimes that energy must come out. It needs to. It's just a matter of how we choose to do it and whether we fly off the handle sometimes. But even if we fly off the handle, sometimes you just need to fly off the handle because a healthy, and now I'm not saying don't hurt anybody and don't be an asshole, but just don't. Sometimes, we know our dear Rick would say, do not suppress, do not suppress, because it can actually end up hurting you in the end.
Yeah, you want to engage in burn off exercises that are Mars related,
Right.
like exercise, doing your ironing that you haven't gotten to for ages. That would be a Mars related exercise.
Right.
Um,
I'm
anything with iron, metal, steel, sharpening your knives.
Yeah. Yeah.
Polishing your metal things, polish your
Yeah,
car or your tools or the stuff,
right.
the metal around the house. Can I just mention something that popped into my head about hair and
Sure.
Venus and relationships? I can't remember where I heard this, but they said that hair absorbs our memories. And so maybe that's part of
Wow.
cutting the hair, feeling like cutting the hair because you want to cut that psychic part that's soaked
Wow.
into your hair. And I think they said that's why nuns shave their heads or something also, because they're like leaving behind all the memories. It's not just for being humble and not showing off your hair, but also it has something to do with the memories.
How interesting.
Yeah, I'd heard that it's your history, Erica. Yeah, that there's history in your hair. So like what you're saying, there's memory. So that cutting it off is like, see ya.
Yeah.
That let that go.
well,
Yeah.
that squares up with the idea that our whole body stores our memories, that and our
Right.
memories are in our cells, but we can't necessarily cut off like
No.
our arms or our
Right.
feet or something, but we can cut the hair. We can
Yes,
cut the hair. I mean, we always learn something new here, don't we?
we do. Always.
Do.
Um, and I'm happy to see another Venus ruled person enter the room, which is John, which is so funny. So,
Hey, Claudia. No coincidences, as Rick D would always say, right?
right, right. Yes, another Taurus. So yeah, I was telling the group, I was asking Linda and Erica, who are Tauruses, they're ruled by Venus. If they watch the Venus retrograde cycles, I imagine you probably do as well. But we,
Absolutely.
yeah, I figured you did. I figured you did. Um,
Oh, yeah.
so do we want to look at some charts now?
Go
Why not?
for it.
All
Of
right.
course.
Let's go to, um, oh no, I had them all lined up and now they're gone. Okay. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to look at Sigmund first. Sigmund, you are here first, so you get to go first. Oh, let's not forget to talk about the Venus star point. Are you seeing my screen?
Yes.
Are you seeing
Yes.
Mhm.
Sigmund's chart?
Yes.
Okay. So, you know what? Let's do this. Let's do this. Where does my eye look first?
Nodal axis.
No, I mean, if I'm looking to see where is this Venus retrograde cycle going to affect,
Oh,
where is he going to feel this Venus retrograde cycle? Where should I go look?
Oh, where it is right now. Start there.
right.
Because obviously it's not there
Where is
in
it
his birth
transiting?
chart.
Right.
Yeah.
He's got an interception. Um,
Right.
so it would be somewhere around here.
Hmm.
Um, so it will basically go from his second house, third house. It'll go like this, like my cursor's moving.
Hmm.
Back and forth between his second and third houses. Actually, he's got a pretty wide second house. It might just, because the cusp, no, it'll go second and third. Sorry, I was right.
Mhm.
Second and third. So that is talk about, really looking at what he values in his life, what it values in his life, what holds value for him. And is it the same that it was 8 years ago? Is it the same in terms of finances? Is it the same about, relationships? Is it the same about just himself? Basically, that's exactly where this is falling, and it's gonna, the third house could also deal with your the way you learn, the way you absorb information, your siblings, your cousins, your aunts, your neighbors, your friends,
Mhm.
networking. Um, so those two houses, that's where the action is. And um, he does have,
Venus going through that second house can also have a strong effect on your expenditures as far as um, spending on your wants and not your needs. Because what Venus wants, it tends to spend on.
Mhm.
That's one little
So
cautionary tale there.
exactly, like if Venus, if Sigmund was sitting in front of me, I'd say, "What you're spending?" Um, or maybe it's that you might have an extra expense that you didn't foresee. Something came along out of nowhere. Um, so it could be that, it could also be internal, what you're valuing yourself as well and what you value in your life. Does that resonate yet? Sigmund, you may or may not be feeling this yet.
Well, what you said about how things are for the past 8 years, um, being retired for a while, there were a lot of constants in my life.
Mhm.
And so there is not wild swings in circumstance, um, even though, of course, understandably, the specifics vary. Um, so I'm not really much concerned about that. As far as spending goes, I generally tend to be frugal. If
Mhm.
there's anything I want for a nickel and a dime, I'll just get it usually.
Mhm.
Although not as a rule. Um, I do tend to be cautious with my spending. Um, I have what I need. I have a lot of what I want. I've paid my time, and
Right.
the years have been good to me, so I can do that. But I certainly don't freewheel. And, I'm still waiting for the transmission for my car to come in so I can do that. That's
Yeah.
going to be a big taste. But so I think I'm in good shape, not
Yeah.
not freewheeling.
Exactly.
Uh,
It sounds like that's probably the case. And is your transmission in your car, is that something that's happening soon-ish?
uh, well, I've asked for that to happen soon in Earth time. So we'll see. Um, there's I can get around. It's just that there are quirks, and I don't feel comfortable taking it, much out of,
Yeah.
The local
between,
area.
between here and the grocery store. Um, there's supposed to be a place in Indiana that rebuilds them and has magnificent warranties on them, but they have to have one to have, and they won't just take mine out of my car, which makes no sense. So I have it on, with the dealer, with my guy, but you know, uh, I've asked for energy, and then it's like for this to happen, so
Yeah.
it's out of my hands.
I was just wondering about the timing.
I appreciate
Um,
that.
you should be all right.
Thank you.
But keep us posted because you actually have it's going to hit your third house, so that could also um have an effect on your vehicle. Um,
Mhm.
Thank you, Sigmund. So let's look at May. May, where is the action for May? May, are you still here? Yes, you are.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Okay. Um, okay, so where am I looking, people? Where am I looking? I'm looking at Pisces, Aries, Pisces, Aries,
Right.
right? So Aries, um, Aries 24, so like right around here. And then through her fifth house. So your daily life, your daily work, um, what you're doing in terms of your daily routine, how you are helping others or not helping others, or how are others helping you. But really, it's more about you. And then this could be a highly creative time for you, really, like where you're however you choose to be creative. It could just be that you make different meals and that's how you're going to express that creativity, but it could be because it's going to transit most of your fifth house. So it's it's a lot of self-expression. But how you do that, that's up to you. But you'll find that, Venus in Pisces, like we said, it's exalted. It's a beautiful place for Venus. It's the best place for Venus. So talk about creative, artistic, and maybe you'll have this desire that you normally don't have to do something more artistic or creative, or even with children. So we'll see how that pans out for you, but it will start in your daily life. Like what are you doing also to focus on you in your daily activities? It could just be that you need more sleep. You need more or less of something. So again, you're just reevaluating how how am I doing this sixth house stuff so it's better for me in the long term. Yeah,
Yep. Thank you.
yeah. Rick, did you want to say something? I thought you were gonna say something.
I was looking at the condition of her Venus in the birth chart
Uh-huh.
and seeing the Uranian conjunction, wondering how that might at the same time be affecting it, because transiting Uranus is at the moment in conjunct transiting Venus, or
Mhm.
the space,
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I don't really look at in conjunctions. I should, but I don't. I have enough trouble with regular. But it does feel like looking at the condition of Venus in the natal chart is pretty, it's relevant. And because you have such a, you know,
Wait, it wouldn't be in conjunct at the moment. I'm sorry, because it's in Taurus to Pisces. That's fine.
that's
That's
sextile,
not it. Right, it's sextile. So that's fine. That won't
Mhm.
be nearly a problem.
Yeah. In fact, it could be something where you could have an opportunity to do something, I don't
Right.
know, that you really enjoy.
For some reason, I was just thinking of Libra, and it's in conjunction to Taurus and Pisces, the other Venusian
The other
position.
Venusian. Yes. Thank
Yeah.
you, May. I'm just going
Thank you.
down the line. And Erica, my friend Erica, can you see my screen?
We see.
Okay. Okay. So from the 7th to the 6th, from the 7th.
Sorry, what was that?
Oh, let me Marita. Okay. From the 7th to the 6th. So which is interesting because Venus rules relationship and it's going to start off in your seventh house of relationships and then go into your sixth house.
Well, it's sitting right on my Venus right now, though. So it's in my sixth house right now. Today it's right at 4.
I'm sorry, I did that backwards. It's over here. Right now it's in Pisces, right?
Venus?
Yeah. Or is it in Aquarius?
Yes, it's in Pisces, yeah.
Okay. So it's going to go this way and then this way and back.
Yeah, I
So,
may have some relationship problems once it gets into the 7th.
and again, like we just talked about, it doesn't have to be your relationship, your husband. It can be, but it
With
doesn't
that
always.
sixth house influence, it could be um, something with your body chemistry that would be affected by Venus. Like sometimes you can have sugar issues with that.
Well, I've had a lot of body issues lately, getting all of my tests and everything since I retired. I just had a surgery the other day. I've had a couple of surgeries this month because I'm just making sure that everything is okay because I've kind of put off getting various tests and things. And then I find out, oh, it's been 10 years since we tested that. It's like, oh my God, I better go check and make sure everything's okay.
Well, that's good.
So,
That's
yeah.
good use of
And
that.
yeah. And so my health also is getting impacted a little bit because of the drugs that they give you. And then I've got to catch
Oh,
up on all my vaccinations after this. So,
right.
I thought I was going to be having fun when I retired, and instead I've had like 7 doctor visits in 2 weeks and 2 surgeries.
Oh,
But it's all
geez.
good. It's all good. It's just, annoying and this stuff, the reason why people put this stuff off. But I feel very
Right.
fortunate to be able to do it and that the results have all been good.
Yeah. Good. You seem pretty healthy to me, Erica.
You haven't met me in person and you didn't see me 10, 15, 20 years ago. I mean, I've lost 2 inches of height in my spine. I've lost a lot of my arm muscles. I have to start doing weightlifting and build stuff up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've really turned into kind of a mini me. I've got to do something about that.
It's hard. I mean, when I think about
It takes effort
it takes effort.
and time. Yeah, people don't have that.
And you have a lot of Aries planets, so you're already kind of a really, I would say you don't strike me as somebody that just sits around. Um, so you're lucky.
I can't sit around. I can't.
Yeah,
If I'm not walking around, I'm doing something in my mind, which is taking me all over the place.
right.
I've got fire as my main element in my chart between the Leo and the Aries. So
Hmm.
I'm always setting
Good for
something
you.
on
Well,
fire.
well, stay healthy. And
I'm doing
uh,
my best. I think I'm very lucky. Thank God. Knock on wood,
I think so too. I think so too. So Linda it's going from your fifth to your fourth, your fifth to your fourth. So maybe you'll feel something having to do with your students. Um, and maybe, it could be something emotional as opposed to just your home life. I mean, it could have something to do with your home life, but it could be something more internal. I feel like with Pisces, it tends to feel more internal to me. Um, but it'll start off in your fifth house, and you are I mean, you're not around little children, but they're young people and uh, you are in a place where there's there's youth and sports and
There's also creativity
yeah.
engaged and self-expression. And writing and communication is all about self-expression.
Well, that we're talking about that nearly every day right now because we're in um, the artificial intelligence universe.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And
Hmm.
one of the things I mean, literally almost every day I say, here's what you can let a machine do for you. Here's what you have to do for yourself.
Wow.
Machines will not create for you. Machines will not think for you. Machines will not feel for you. Machines cannot experience. And so,
Mm.
and so we
They
talk.
also can't make generated words have a feeling of humanity.
Oh, well, right. I mean, they don't.
There's a lack of rhythm that I notice comes from AI generated text. It doesn't flow the same way.
Well, you know why, don't you? Because it's not writing. It's just it's just scouring the internet for what the likely word is to be after the last likely word. So it's
Sure.
not. I mean, it's hard to explain this, but um, human beings think in phrase structures. We
Hmm.
we think we think subject verb. We think about writing. We think about cake, whatever we think about. And we think in phrase structures, and machines don't think in phrase structures. They think in through probability and collecting, billions of bits of information that says after the word in, the word the is probably next. And so
Hmm.
it makes it very artificial. And if something has delve in it, it's probably AI. Because we've learned that delve is one of the AI's most favorite words. We see it all the time in student writing. That's cheat when they're cheating, and they do cheat. I mean, how I get around it is really simple. Once they've written something, then we as a group, we run the assignment through
A
um, a,
filter.
a chatbot, and then we critique it, and
Yeah.
we always come out that it gets a C. And I say, you can see the features. I mean, these are the features. So, yeah. But I think that creativity is a big piece of it, and trying to tap more into their human side rather than, I
Oh
mean, I mean,
yeah.
I don't know if Venus is about that, but it seems, you know, you know,
It's relational. Yeah. And
relational.
robots
Like,
are not relational. They're not.
how
It
are
would
we?
also listen. Venus would be responsible for making you listen to the harmony in the words.
Oh, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
And and I mean, but that's I think the big thing in school right now for a lot of reasons, because there's so much bad stuff going on. I mean,
Mhm.
we're worried about ICE. We're worried about all these things that are, like people coming in and taking our international students and removing them from the country, you know. But the
Right.
so stressing love and connection and the human side is, I think, really important right now for all of us. So thanks.
God, is it ever? I mean,
Hmm.
seriously, it's it's so needed.
We
Pardon
would
me.
want to look at Ray's chart, perhaps.
Yep, I am trying to plug it in because I'm unplugged. No, I'm just kidding. Because I didn't I have
Best transition ever. Best save ever.
so I have had raised
Oh.
all I'm telling you, I must have it in my astro.com and I don't have it here, but I
You
want
know, save it for 2 weeks from now. I mean, we don't have to speed run it.
no, that's okay. I'm gonna take a momento, but I'm almost done. I've almost got it. Um, it's good to see you, or it's good to have you.
It's good to be here. My goodness. Okay, so I'd taken a new job that had me working on Thursday nights.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Hmm. And I've caught, YouTubes and since, but I mean but we moved it to Wednesday nights, so now I can, be back.
Nice. Oh, good. I'm
Yeah.
so glad.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
I'm thrilled.
just real quick, are you a 6-degree Cancer rising? Do you remember? Do you know?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So Ray is, for those of us that don't know, Ray has been with us for a long time, but she had a job that she had to be at, and now she's back. So welcome back. The activity for you is going to be on the,
Pluto.
well, the activity for you is, but we might as well talk about nothing else. I mean, seriously. So listen, I'm no kidding. I was gonna text you the other day because I have a friend who's got Pluto on his moon, and I thought about you, and I was like, I gotta talk to her because I don't have experience, but I
Oh, I'm so
know.
sorry. I know what that's like. I felt that a few years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
What was your experience like?
My experience, I felt
Yeah.
like Rick D and I had a conversation about that. It felt like my insides were being torn to shreds. Honestly, it was not fun.
Oh.
Is that about how it feels?
Yeah.
Well, how about this? Okay, so for my 50th birthday a few weeks ago, I finally like left the country for the first time in decades.
Uh-huh.
Decades. Um that was kind of like, okay, it's like I can either stay the same or I can break out.
Uh-huh.
And I decided to break out. And
Good.
it was I mean, I had some rust to kick off as far as traveling was concerned. I used to work for the airlines, okay? So I mean, it's like hopping a flight was not a big deal for me. Like, in my 20s, I don't know. Anyway, um, but it was, kind of like soul affirming that there is like broader life out there. Um,
Yes.
and it
Yeah.
was at a moment where it was kind of needed because, I mean, I left literally on January 20th. Ha!
Wow.
It was, yeah, I mean, it's kind of like swim or die sort of time, I
Yeah.
guess. I don't know. I mean, is that something that you experienced, Doctor?
Yeah, it was. Well, I mean, full transparency, what I was going through was I was on the doorstep of a divorce, so it was, so it was very much of a personal nature in terms of a relationship, and Moon also deals with home, and you know, my home was basically shattered, because of
Yeah.
that. So that
Yeah.
was really uncomfortable. So I'm hearing that with you too, that you're
Sure.
feeling something similar and like, hey, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we have that commonality there in our Moon Pluto experience. Like, hey, I gotta get out of here. This is too intense.
Yeah.
This is dying.
Certain.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
home is dying.
Yeah.
That's how I
Oh,
felt.
what house is your moon in?
Sixth. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's, yeah, Virgo's
Yeah.
house, sixth
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it's my moon's in Capricorn, but yeah, it was very much there's some wasn't really a health issue, wasn't really a work issue, which is what we commonly associate with the sixth house though. It was
Sure.
just, I mean, I felt moon, it was all home, it was all relationship. It was really more like a seventh house issue.
Right.
And
Well,
Gotcha.
yeah,
the
Well, progressing
sixth
to the seventh house. I mean, that's what's gonna
exactly.
like. Okay. Sorry.
well, the sixth house is
We're,
actually daily affairs. That's the
uh,
one unifier
yeah.
between everything. You
Mm.
work every day,
Hmm.
you experience eating every day, so your diet is a part of that. Your exercise is a part of that. Taking care of your small pets is every day. Those are daily affairs that you tend to.
Yeah.
And
All that
they
was
get
challenged.
disrupted with
Yeah.
that Pluto on top
Sure.
of the moon, you know?
Oh boy. Yeah, it absolutely was, Rick. It
Yeah.
absolutely was. Yeah, where's yours at? Right.
Oh, eighth house, baby.
Oh
Yeah,
boy.
so
Yeah.
she's it's I don't know. She's gonna feel it. That's all I have
Ray,
to say about
on a
that.
positive Ray,
Yeah.
on a positive side, if you ever were interested in paranormal investigations, this would be a prime time for you to see a ghost.
Yes, yes. Oh yes, most definitely.
Um, I think I have enough concerns in the 3D
Excitement.
world. I don't want to necessarily involve something as esoteric as that.
But
Just just saying.
yeah, well, you're gonna feel it regardless, and you're already feeling it. And the
Oh,
fact that
it's been bouncing back and forth. I mean, right now, I mean, it's separating.
yeah, but I think so when it retrogrades, I think it's gonna go back to 1 degree. I'm not sure, don't quote me.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
Actually, I mean, it has gone back and forth over it already, like in the
So
last couple of years.
you're in the middle of it. This is a
But
five pass,
it's
isn't it?
gonna do it again this year.
This is like it's kind of like ship up or shape out, or what? Oh, crikey! What shape up or ship out? Is
Yeah,
kind of the
yeah,
the
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know, the lesson to be taken from it, I guess. But
yeah. I'd love to talk about this transit more with you at some point, but
please
um
do, yes, let's.
yeah, yeah. So the Venus retrograde, which seems like it doesn't even matter right now because Pluto's such a big deal, but it will go over your midheaven.
Hmm.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
It's going to go over the cusp of your 11th into your 10th house. Not quite at your midheaven, but you'll feel that. I mean, you're questioning and you're feeling so much right now. It's like this is something that you may or may not feel, but it's going to go, back and forth, mostly really throughout your whole 10th house. So, um, I heard you say that there's going to be you now can be here on Thursday or your
Hmm.
schedule's changing. Maybe it's something to do with, reevaluating the job itself or just your path. You know, when you have Pluto on your sun, I mean, everything becomes more
Epic.
meaningful, it becomes more meaningful. So even if it's
Yeah.
just a job doing whatever, it doesn't matter. It becomes where at one point it wasn't so meaningful to you to love that job or enjoy the people or what have you. Everything I feel just becomes very consequential in your life. It's like you feel the the severity of living how you really want to live. And it, it's good. It's a transit that's going to, especially as an Aquarius, I feel like Aquarius can be a bit detached. So this can really bring, and in the eighth house, I mean, my God, it's like uh, talk about really
Woohoo.
feeling stuff.
I
But
would add a little bit of further out insight. This is definitely some things that are kind of preparing you, Ray, in regard to your Chiron return that is imminent.
I was just
Mm.
gonna
Right.
say that. I mean, she's going through her Chiron return at the same time.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because the Venus retrograde is going from Pisces into Aries,
Yeah.
and Aries is all about your Chiron. You might do really well to go ahead and look back at your history and look at the dates as to when Chiron made its first square, opposition, and third square. Look at those experiences and try to understand what that was saying about your identity and its expression and your understanding of that. Because it's
Yeah.
all coming into focus
That's
soon.
that's a good tip. Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm interested to see how I mean, the beauty of Venus might like when it passes over Chiron and Eris,
Mm-hmm.
what sort of, I don't know, softness or gentleness, because it's like, okay, yeah, I mean, I have a lot of fixed energy in my chart. Aquarius sun, kind of a hard ass. I kind of might need to soften a little bit. It might be interesting to see how that might play out.
Well, going over Eris and the fact that um I'm not very versed in this, but I know that Venus runs through two different manifestations, the morning star and the evening star. One
Hmm.
is connected through Taurus as the earth goddess, and
Right?
the other is
Virgo.
uh no, the other would be Libra,
Oh,
which
gosh.
is
I'm
an
sorry.
air sign, so it's considered a bit of one of them is a war goddess.
Uh-huh.
One is confrontational. So there's going to be possible issues with how do you deal with conflict at work? That can certainly be an issue as Venus starts running over Eris before it starts softening with its healing with Chiron.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, uh, we can't wait to talk to you some more because I think it's going to be great to have you, you know, walk us through this transit with you to your comfort level. But any time I see stuff like this with people, it's like I want to just I want to start a spreadsheet
Pick
and
their brain.
yeah, pick their brain because everyone just experiences different these things in a different manner, but there is an underlying energy that is kind of foundational to all of them. But it's slightly, the stories are different, but it things will come about in
Hey,
your life.
whatever. Yeah, whatever helps the collective, all for it.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm really glad you are here tonight. We'll see how this pans out, but you've got a while to go. But that Venus is, you know, it's gonna travel over those planets. I mean, it's a good point. It might help to soften, to round out some
Bring some sort, yeah, yeah. Um, at least moderate some of the temperature because
Oh, that's funny. Well, thank you, Ray. It's good to have you.
thank you.
Um, Marita, let's talk about you. Let's talk about what's going on with you. It's going to be starting right in your seventh house through your sixth house. So that's a relationship house, counseling, the way you work with clients, the way you work one-to-one with people. So can you hear me? Yeah, you can. Okay. No, I just want to make sure that you could hear me. So, and actually, it's going to, is it 24 to, I thought it might come close to your Jupiter. Uh, no, it's not. It's going to be right more closer to the cusp. So it'll be closer to your Eris, actually. Feeling a little bit, might feel that Eris energy. So Eris is about, really finding that I consider her like a warrior princess. Like she's kind of not gonna put up with BS. Um, Venus might soften, but Eris is such a strong energy. Venus is,
Eris, for those who are unfamiliar, is energetically like the female Aries.
mm-hmm.
It is the sis it's not exactly the sister goddess to the god of war, but it's very much like that in energy.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Remind me to talk about the Chiron return for the US, Rick. Um,
Okay,
Completely unrelated. I don't want to interrupt Marita.
right.
So it's going to go over your seventh house and into your sixth house. So right here is where the action is, right? So you're working with clients, you're working with somebody, but you may have some sort of one-on-one relate. It could be an intimate relationship. It could be your sister. It could be your, the people that you've, done business with. Um, and something about rethinking about how you're going to do something in that area of your life. Is there anything that needs to change there? And is it anything that needs to change where it's going to be serving you uh because it's Venus and Aries? But then again, that same energy is going to move into an area where it is going to be about your daily routine,
Concepts.
but it's serving others. It's more in the I'm here to help the world, the community, others. So I'm telling you, Aries, this is funny, Aries and Pisces, very different. Um, so that's where you're going to see that action and you're going to feel it, you could possibly be feeling it now. And if you're not feeling it, you're going to feel it because you do have planets in Aries. So, I mean,
If I
Aries
could
is
jump
now.
in here,
What's that?
if I could jump in here, we
Yeah.
actually were embodying this energy today. We were in the midst of getting together and discussing rebranding for Marita.
Mm-hmm.
So she's trying to, resurrect the idea of a website
Mm-hmm.
and getting it relaunched. And she's looking at previously how she has worded things and how she's wording them now, how she has grown as a practitioner. And that's all very identity driven with that Aries energy,
Yep.
with the Jupiter in Aries as much as the Eris.
Yeah.
And certainly it is being worked out in service to do
Right.
her work, which is the sixth house issue. So this is a perfect example of what we've been
Absolutely. That's what it sounds like.
dealing with. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's nice that you're able to talk to her about it because it's really it's real life. This is what I call it, astrology in real life,
Mhm.
which is it's great when you see it playing out in somebody's life. So and again, that's there to serve you, that's there to help you when you pass, remember the graphic with the back and forth arrow, you're going to get through this, and in May, you're going to find that you're going to have your answers, or you're going to, not necessarily that, you may have a new website, but you will feel more assured of the direction you want to take, which is great. Does that resonate, Marita? I'm not sure if you can hear me, but if you can hear
She
me.
jiggled her head
Oh, she did.
affirmatively.
Okay, okay, okay. I was Xing out of something. I think we need to, thanks, Marita.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And somehow I got put on mute.
Oh, no worries. Well, you were on the phone, so I muted you. And
Oh, okay.
yeah. But yeah, you heard us talk about how it's going to go over that area of your chart and Rick took us through what's going on with you, which makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it does. Because I've been trying to get it done. And uh, the person who's trying to help me with it has the good ideas to do it. But like Rick and I were basically retweaking. And because he knows me so well, looking at this and saying, let's not reinvent the wheel. It's just kind of like, I'd rather
Yeah.
tweak, and go from there.
Yeah.
And true to form, the way Pisces will affect things, there was a lot of trying to reword things to be more ideal fit, because there's this idea of
Mm,
image and
right.
wording being played with quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So it was presenting some challenges, and we were coming up with just changing little things.
Yeah.
We used the same root word in one place and just changed the ending. And that was enough for one word to get changed,
Right. Right. That's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
it's good to have you, Marita. It's good to see you.
Thanks. I'm like trying to write notes down while I do.
Well, it's going to be on YouTube, so you don't need
Oh,
to
okay.
worry.
Good to know.
Jane, we haven't looked at yours, right?
Yeah, no, you
Okay,
haven't.
okay. So,
Do we have time though,
yes,
Claudia?
yes.
Yeah, okay.
If
Thanks,
you
darling.
aren't rushed, if you can hang in there, Jane.
Thank
So
you.
Jane
That's
is going to
fine.
have it go through her second, kind of like
Into the
segment.
third.
Yeah. So, and look at her Venus. Her Venus is in Aries.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all
In her
about
third
me.
house.
That
And
Venus
she's an
return.
Aries. I love
Except
that.
for I've got lots of moony, cancery stuff happening too, don't I?
Right?
Yes, so that's kind of nice, you know. You don't want to get too, me. You
Yeah,
gotta think of,
certainly don't.
yeah, I don't get that from you. I
Certainly
don't.
don't.
So, yeah, so you see where the action is. It's in the second house, right? What really matters to
Yeah.
you? What really do you value, and what is it that you value that is going to be serving you at this point, or that you're questioning? Is it the same thing that why am I still doing XYZ? How is blah 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 still good for me? Is it? Yeah, I'll keep it. If not, then you're gonna be okay with letting it go or letting it change or yeah, or letting it change even in your mind, even if something externally doesn't. Um, and then and it could be financial too. It could be. I don't know. Um, and then back to your third house, which is the house with, gotta look at the car, gotta look at the phone, gotta make sure that, you don't hit send on an email too quickly. And, you don't, you know, so put that.
If I'm ever worried about that, I leave the recipient blank until I've edited.
Yes.
That's clever. That's a good
Yeah.
idea, Rick.
Oh yeah, I do that at work because my gosh, I would hate to do that. Yes, I do that. Yeah, that is a perfect way to use this Venus in the third house is to really kind of watch how you're talking to people, watch what you're saying, and not in a way that you have to, you know, walk on eggshells, but um, you might actually be the opposite where because it's Venus, right? It's not Mars, it's Venus. Although Mars is
Yeah.
retrograde right now, but um,
But her nature would be to
would be
have the
Martian.
Aryan quality of Venus.
Yeah.
So that's in its fall, and that's tricky. So chances are you've had a lifetime to learn how to polish that up a bit.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I am better, not always good, at causing
Yes.
pausing, and because I do rush in, but I am better at going,
Good for you.
right, like you said, Rick, write it
Yes.
all down first and then go back and edit and edit and edit.
Right.
Or don't send at all.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's fabulous.
Yeah.
That's good advice, Rick. But
Thanks,
you know what?
Claudia.
We'll have to regroup in May. I'm going to write myself a note. So how did Venus retrograde treat you? We might have some
Yes.
good stories to tell.
Yes,
I think we
thank
should
you.
actually do that when we have these cycles. Some cycles are going to be, more personal, like Venus and Mars. I have found that this Mars, well, I told you guys, this retrograde Mars is like, I am I've gotten crazed. And that's not normal for me. That's not. Uh, but I've let it out, and I think a good way. I don't know. Maybe not so
I was
much.
going to say, just enjoy it. Let it go, I say.
I need more of that Aries stuff in my life. So, you know what? We don't normally do this, but I think it is
Be here.
um
So, just want to
I
give you
think it would be good if we looked at our friend Rick's chart. Even though I'm sure Rick looks at his own chart, we can tell him now. So, Rick, where's the action going on for Rick? Ah,
Mm-hmm.
seventh, eighth,
Eighth
seventh.
house. Uh,
It's
well,
a,
the eighth to the ninth.
um, actually, it's
'Cause-
really more the ninth through the eighth. So,
right.
yep. So like here through here, here
Mm-hmm.
through here. So you're right. And
Mm-hmm.
that's about your talk about questioning your beliefs. Talk about, hey, you know, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. Maybe you'll have some sort of connection with somebody that kind of opens your eyes to something that you didn't really think about it in that way before. But uh it's I always like the ninth house. I
No, me too. I do. I always, before Eris, there was like nothing that I had going on there. And I thought, oh, but I did recognize that its ruler of Mars being in my third is very fascinating to me because it gives me a drive to come up with simple language to explain large ideas.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I find that your way of speaking, like you're eager to speak, but it is so, sometimes I feel like a perfect jerk because I say some interpretation, then Rick says something so lovely. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so, so Libran. Because he just has such a positive, diplomatic way of speaking and interpreting these things, where sometimes I'll just be like, look, don't be a jerk, you know? And he'll put such a lovely spin on it. So it
I
should be, I feel good about this for you. I feel good about it, really with everybody. All these things are here to help us, but I happen to like the ninth house. And then the eighth house is so, I feel like it's so it's so soulful.
uh-huh.
So,
I'm gonna take a double check to see where my Aries point is
yeah.
because as I recall, yeah, it's my Aries point is at 22 degrees of Aries. Or not my Venus star point, I meant to say.
Hmm.
22 degrees of Aries. So it's in that same house
Oh,
with
it's in the same
Eris.
house. Yeah. And it's actually going to conjunct it because it's going to be 20. I keep doing this all night. I apologize. I need this graphic up again. Let's look at this graphic together. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So it's 24 Pisces through 10, 11 Aries,
Mhm.
or rather the other way around. 11 Aries to 24 Pisces.
Mhm.
And you said what was your Venus star point?
22 degrees Aries. So this one will be affecting, I imagine, a very strong point of desire in my focus of my chart. Because I would take your Venus star point that is prior to the time of your birth
Mm-hmm.
to be a place of intense focus of things that you desire and work on.
Wow. Oh my. I'm just thinking of something that's happening in my life, and I just realized what my star point is. And it's
Right. So that kind of jives with yours?
cool. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm very much a social justice warrior,
Yes.
someone who all of my counseling is geared towards empowering people to find safety, healing,
Mm-hmm.
peace,
Mm-hmm.
the ability to own their boundaries and just experience their own best life, you know?
Beautiful. We do. We're going to have to talk about this. We're going to have to talk about what happened, guys. Let's have a regroup, a regroup on what happened during this
So
Venus
really
retrograde.
quickly, should we go ahead and give everybody their star points? Their Venus star point?
Yes, everybody get a pen. And the
That
reason
would be
I say this
great. Thank you.
is because I tried to attach a document, but it's not my account. It's actually Rick D's. So I can't attach a document. Now, oh, but we could put it on the Astrology Unplugged page. Yes.
That'll work.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the Venus star point is a really key point in your chart. And it's a really key point
Oh,
that,
yours happens to look like it's in the ninth house as well.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Um,
What
three
does it,
Aquarius.
3 degrees Aquarius, yeah.
Yeah. So, uh, so let me tell you about the Venus star. And I'll be honest, I don't know much about it. I've heard of it, but I need to study up on it more. But it symbolizes beginnings, internal shifts, deep introspection, and karmic relationship themes. Yeah, so it is really kind of, for example, let's just say, your Venus star point conjuncts my daughter's sun or something. Like it is something that is can be very significant to us. Like, yeah. So, Rick, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna tell you, Erica, I'm gonna go around the room, the virtual room. I'm gonna tell you people's date of birth. Is Sigmund still here? I can't see the screen.
I'll take a look.
I
Um,
don't see
it
I
looks
him.
don't
like
see.
he stepped out.
All right, so May, let's go with May, December 15th, 1985. May, get your pen out.
Yep, I've got it. Yep.
So there was one for April 3rd of 85 at 14 degrees of Aries, 5 minutes. It was retrograde.
All right, so 14 Aries would be your Venus star point. It's just something to consider when you look at, especially Venus ruled things. Like, yeah. John is April 27th, 1978.
Correct.
So that looks like 1 degree of Aquarius. And Venus had gone direct.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay. Erica is April 28th, 1947.
So is it 24 Scorpio?
Not yet. We have
I'm
you're
looking at a website which is sophiavenus.com, and she has a list
yeah,
of all the star points starting in 1870,
yes.
going
That's
all the way until August 8th, 2039. There's a whole list, so it's really
right,
easy to look it up.
right. So you want the one before your birth date.
And I think that's 24 Scorpio, because
Uh,
it fell November 17th, 1946 was the
that
one
does look
before
correct.
April 28th, 1947. Yeah.
Yeah,
And it was retrograde too.
yes.
Huh.
Yeah.
I wonder if that means anything.
Well,
Well, you plug it in and take a look, and you'll start to figure that one out.
But if you said that that is like where you are trying to focus on your beliefs in this lifetime, what did you say the
The
Venus star
reason
point?
I said that was because of the fact that it was a ninth house.
Oh.
For me, it fell in the ninth house.
So what would be the significance of where your Venus star point is?
it's for internal stuff that's internal shifts and karmic relationship themes. Stuff that also has to do with you beginning something. Um, let's
And
all,
every other time it's direct or it's retrograde. And in my
That's
particular
right.
time, my Venus star point happens to be retrograde. So I
yeah,
wonder if that has an additional spin on it.
Quite
probably,
possibly.
probably. I'm going to look into that because mine,
I would further look into that site that you found because you found a better one that I know of thus
Oh, okay.
far.
I posted it in the chat.
okay, great.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Linda Jordan is October 4th, 1951. So,
In September, there was a Venus star point of 1951 at 10 degrees Virgo, 18 minutes retrograde.
so that's yours, Linda. Did you catch that?
10th house, very close to your south node. So I would definitely think what you're dealing with in this life is stuff you've been dealing with for lifetimes.
Well, all I'm going to say is if I don't know anything else about my past lives, I've always been a teacher because
Well,
I came
and
out the womb
Virgo
knowing how
knows
to do it.
about being real picky.
Oh, I'm very picky. I come from a long line of picky people. But
I could have cut to the chase and been polite and said very precise.
picky. Okay, I mean, I am known for walking into the gym and seeing the chairs out of place and putting them all back together where
Oh
they
my
need to be.
gosh, that's great. That's
Well, I
talk
can't,
about, yeah,
you know.
you live and breathe it. Um, okay, Rick, Claudia, Marita, did you get yours? I think we gave it to you at the beginning.
19 degrees of Scorpio,
Yes.
57 minutes retrograde.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Sounds reasonable.
And Jane is March 27th, 1957. Actually, Jane, the retrograde, this Venus retrograde may be important for you because March 27th is
Oh,
station direct. So,
Say that again, Claudia.
so on
It's
March 27th,
yeah.
Venus is going to station direct. So I would watch, this may be more significant for you.
um, her Venus star point is 0 degrees Cancer, 47 minutes retrograde. From that was correlated to June 22nd of 56 before she was born.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
That's
Zero
incredibly
degrees. Zero
strong.
degrees sounds interesting.
Yes,
Yeah.
doesn't it though?
It sure does. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
sure does.
Claudia,
Yes.
can you go back to mine for 1 minute? I have the number, the 19 degrees, but I don't have when
Or
Like,
what house?
yeah, any direction. Like you guys are given dates and stuff like that. That's
Right,
the,
right.
so I don't have any of that. What does
So
that all?
yours is in the second house that happens. So
Okay.
you have karmic relationships with your values, affirming them, your sense of self-worth, and also things about your income and your earning power. So it's very
Okay.
interesting that you have this particular focus from the Venus retrograde going from the 6th to the 7th, dealing with what we were encountering.
And what's the dates I have to look for that at?
Um,
Like the one before I was born and then,
the one before you were born was that 19 degrees of
Scorpio.
Scorpio. Yeah.
okay. All right. And then the next one, like when do I look to see this in May?
Oh, no, that is your Venus star point for all of your life. That's a
Oh,
fixed point
oh,
that
okay.
affects your karmic connection. What we're talking about with the current retrograde is the effects of what's happening with Venus moving through your 6th and 7th house.
And that's the stuff like we were working on today.
Yes, exactly.
Right, right.
Okay.
Uh,
Thank you.
that might be a good episode to actually do when I actually learn about this. We didn't do Ray. Sorry, Ray. Okay, Ray. So January 21st, 1975.
Okay, November 6th of 74, there was a Venus point of 13 degrees Scorpio, 44 minutes. It went direct. 13 Scorpio.
13 Scorpio, that's right. And wait, 13 Scorpio is retrograde. Oh, no, it's direct. I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong line. Okay. Fabulous. We're going to put this document on the Astrology Unplugged page so you could take a look. I mean, really, we gave it to you now, but just so you have it. And then look at how I mean, just this evening, I just realized something about a very strong relationship in my life that is like conjunct my Venus star point. And I didn't know that. I wouldn't have known that. It's conjunct his moon. Um,
Wow.
Well, I also found earlier today it was interesting to start looking at the Venus star points as I looked through the years of my life to see when things were aspecting certain points. And I'm really curious to see, um, well, there was an early one before I think before I was 2 years old. And I think it may have started some things going on with a conjunction to Neptune that may have affected my hearing
yeah.
from a
Oh,
young age.
interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It's all very interesting. Just when you think you kind of get a grasp on astrology, you learn something new. You
right.
and you're going to do this for the rest of your life. Do Venus star
That's for
points
sure.
always square natal Venus? I don't think
No,
necessarily. No,
it's not a requirement
although mine squares no, it trines my
because
Pluto. I mean,
mine is in Aries and my natal Venus is in Virgo.
But
yeah,
if it is, that would be certainly an additional thing that
Oh,
you would
yes,
feel, right?
absolutely, Erica.
for sure. Definitely.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. I mean, it doesn't
yeah,
have to be an absolute to still have an effect.
yeah, not at all. This is awesome, guys. Thank you, Rick. And thank you, everyone. This was so
Absolutely.
much fun. We'll have to trade stories And
Thank you. This has been fun.
I'm serious. I'm going to make a note to myself in the May-ish, to ask everybody how things went. The idea is really to have it, the retrogrades, ironically, help move you forward. They actually help you move forward in a certain
Right.
area of your life. And you know that
Take
it's
care, Jane.
Hi, Jane.
Hi, Jane. Good to see you. Bye-bye.
See you.
Yes, we'll see you next time. So,
Adios.
and that's what they all do. It just, Venus is one of those, Venus, Mars, Mercury, they're personal planets. So we feel them more on a, daily personal level. When Pluto goes retrograde, when Neptune goes retrograde, Saturn you feel, but these are planets that we are so, because, we're very egoic beings sometimes, it's about me. But anyway, everybody's going to be great. We'll swap stories, and next time we meet, we are going to talk about the eclipses that are going to come up next month. And I tell you what, the people that I know that are, because whenever I'm into eclipses, so I like the people in my life and the people in my circle, I already see their life being affected by eclipses. Again, because of the degree and the orb, but it's fascinating. I can't wait to chat about it.
You want to stop sharing screen real quick?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you.
And that'll be on the 27th that we're getting together for that
Yep, February
eclipse
27th.
discussion.
We'll talk about the eclipses coming up in March. There'll be two in March. In Aries and I want to say Pisces. In Aries, or yeah, I think Aries and Pisces. So we'll look forward to that. And thank you everybody for joining us tonight, as well as joining our Astrology Unplugged page on Facebook. We'll put the document there, and I wish you all a great couple of weeks. Happy Valentine's Day. Be love, give love, just love. I love you
And
all.
love yourself.
And love
Love
yourself.
I love
yourselves.
you all.
And
Yes.
thank you too
Thank
for
you.
keeping us going because it's so
Oh,
important.
thank you,
Absolutely.
Linda.
And
Yes.
keep up with the noticing what's on the Facebook page, because I want to get working on the Chiron stuff, and you guys
Sure.
have such intriguing minds. I really want to get your input.
Sure.
So
That's
it's
awesome.
very
Yes.
helpful.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Glad
Yeah,
to,
we're
glad to
going
help.
we're going to play off of one another to
Mm,
discover at the ground level things that other
mm.
astrologers have not yet
Yeah.
discovered.
There's nothing that
So
women love more or are attracted to more than a man who wants to know what their ideas are, because that's so rare.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yes. Second that emotion.
That's an attraction. I mean, you could have a guy who's really attractive, all into himself, or another guy who's all into you and wants to hear what you say, and you can physically feel an attraction to that man who is interested in you.
I'm sure it's a
Yeah,
human
men
need.
don't know this, and they try to pretend it when they're first dating, and then they fall into the way they usually are.
Yeah.
Very important.
You
It
can't
is.
fake that.
We can
Well,
do a
I
whole show
do
on that
love
too.
people in general. It's going to be a great experience, folks.
Well,
I believe
Many
you.
we're all
blessings.
in.
It's
Thank
an
you all.
Thank
interesting
you.
time we live in.
Yes.
Yes. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. See you
Happy
next time.
Stay well.
Valentine's
Thank
Happy
Day,
you.
Valentine's
everyone.
Thanks,
Day.
Jane.
Take care.